All right, this is day 2 of 1.4 notes. So we're going to start by solving each of the following equations for the variable listed in parentheses. The first one says ax plus by equals c, and we're solving for y. So the first thing I'm going to get rid of is the ax, and to move that over, I have to subtract it. At that point, we're left with by equals c minus ax. Now I need to remove the b. Right now it's being multiplied by y, so we're going to divide to cancel it. We're going to divide everything on the right. So our final answer is y equals c minus ax over b. In number 2, it says we are solving for b. First thing I notice is the 1/2. I'm going to try to get rid of that and move it to the other side by multiplying by 2 or multiplying by the reciprocal. So we have 2a equals h times b plus c. H is being multiplied by b plus c, so I'm going to divide. And now all we have left is c to move over, which we would subtract. So we have b equals 2a over h minus c. Next thing we have is a worker at a framing store is making a rectangular frame. Write a formula for perimeter of the frame. So if we think about it, rectangular frame, right? You normally have length times width, right? To give the area. If we're talking perimeter, we would be doing length plus width, or adding up all the sides, which in other words is 2L plus 2W if we combine like this. It says use this formula to solve for the width of the frame. So we're solving for W. So if we have P equals 2L plus 2W, we would subtract 2L. And you have P minus 2L equals 2W. And then we would divide by 2 to both sides. You can leave your answer as P minus 2L over 2, or you can simplify by doing 1/2 P, W equals 1/2 P minus L. Either one is totally fine. You might have started with your equation as something like P equals 2 times L plus W if you wanted to, and that would make you get something like that. Okay, those are the same equations though. If the perimeter of the frame is 144 inches and the length of the frame is 40, determine the width of the frame. So I'm going to use the first equation. W equals 144 minus 2 times L, which is 40, over 2. So we have 144 minus 80 over 2. If you subtract 80 from 144, you get 64. And 64 divided by 2 is 32. So we have 32 inches as the width. In number 4, it says the simple interest formula is I equals PRT, where I is interest, P is principal, R is interest rate, and T is time. Using that, Janet wants to calculate the time it takes to earn a certain amount of interest on a principal amount in an investment with simple interest. What equation should she use? Or can she use? So she wants to calculate time. If it is I equals PRT, that means that she would want an equation that's already solved for time. So if P, R, and T are all being multiplied, you can divide them both over. So now T equals I over PR. Now it says what equation can Janet use to calculate the principal amount? This is talking about P. So going back to our original, we have I equals PRT. And the same thing can happen here. P, R, and T are being multiplied. So we can divide by r and t. So we're left with p equals I over RT. On number 5, it says Jason wants to calculate the height of a triangle when given the area and the length of the base. Letter A says write the formula for area of a triangle. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Some of you use base times height divided by 2. That's totally fine. I'm going to use 1/2 base times height though. So use the formula you wrote to solve for the height. So if we have A equals 1/2 base times height, or the other one, first thing I would do is multiply by 2 so that we get rid of the 1/2. So now we have 2A equals base times height. And if we're solving for height, we would divide by B. So height is 2A divided by B. Now it says find the height of a triangle when A is 12 inches squared and B is 9. So now we have 2 times 12 divided by 9. Well, 2 times 12 is 24. And this is not an integer. This ends up giving us a fraction or a decimal. As a fraction, I can simplify by 3, so you get 8 over 3. Or you can rewrite it as either a fraction, a mixed number, which would be 2 and 2/3. Or you can write it as a decimal as 2.6. Okay, any of these are acceptable. Number 6 says Rob is an electrical engineer who works with lots of wires. He needs to calculate the length of the wire L in meters using the electrical resistance R of the wires in ohms, the resistivity P in ohm meters, and the area of the wire A in square centimeters. The electrical resistance formula is, and then it gives us the formula. What equation can you use to solve for the length of the wire? So we need to figure out which one is talking about the length of the wire. If we go back to the equation, we can see the length of the wire is L. So in other words, we are solving for L. So if we have R equals PL over A, I want to get rid of the fraction first, so I'm going to multiply by A. So we now have AR equals PL. Solve for L. I would just have to divide by P. We're left with L equals AR over P. Number 7 says Tio is given a recipe for bread. The recipe lists the oven temperature in Celsius, but his oven temperature is in Fahrenheit. Use the equation C equals 5 over 9 F minus 32 to solve for F. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of 5 over 9. You can do this in 2 steps or just one. I'm going to do it in just one. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal like we have been. Okay, you can just multiply by 9 and then divide by 5 later. Or you can do it all at once. So now we have 5 over 9C equals F minus 32. Only thing left to do is add 32 to the other side. And we're left with F equals 9 over 5C minus 30. Sorry, plus 32. According to Tio's bread recipe, you should bake the bread at 190 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. His oven temperature is in Fahrenheit. To what temperature in degrees Fahrenheit should he set his oven? So if we know F equals 9 over 5C plus 32, I can plug in C, which is 190, to solve for F. I'm going to take 190 and divide by 5 and then multiply by 9. If you do that, you get 342. You can also take 190 and multiply by 9 first and then divide by 5 Either way, you're going to get 342. If I add 32 to that, I end up getting 374 degrees Fahrenheit.